Kelly's ice cream?
Yeah, it was.
It was. How much of it's left, would you say?
None!
Oh, dear.
I didn't just eat the whole thing, I just ate the last little bit. Just so as you know.
Okay, so what happened to it before that?
It evaporated.
It fell into a mine.
It just got lost.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Doctor Who Review. I'm Chris.
I'm not Chris.
And we are here if you're confused or like, what is this? Why can't we see them? It's basically a video podcast. The video's not necessary, it's just an extra little thing in it. Little fun bags.
Little flim flam.
We are whose band and wife, and wife then fiance said, "Oi oi."
Samaloi.
And I went, what is
Apples
it?
are best.
What is it in this fine month of June 2018? You went, let's box set. And we've just finished all the Marvel films because we were doing it in the run up to Infinity War. Let's box set something else. Let's box set Doctor Who from the beginning. And here we are. This is our 18th video.
Whoa.
Season 17
Wow,
of Doctor Who.
That was not ladylike.
Including a bonus video currently about adaptations, which is the Cushing movies and Adventure in Space and Time docudrama. Another bonus episode's coming up soon, but we'll get into that later. Right now, season 17, Tom's penultimate season.
Don't say that.
Tom's second to last season.
That's better.
Alright. I have seen, out of the 6 stories that are attached to this series, I had previously seen 1, 2, 3...
Oh, one little with it.
4, 5 of them. There was only one I hadn't seen. This was the first time cracking it out, as it were.
True, good.
But yeah, so a few changes. What's changed from last series, sweet lady? Last series was the Key to Time. What's different this year?
Yes, there is a new companion, but she's not new. It's Romana, and she just randomly decided to change what she looked like.
She just regenerates
because the actress,
casually.
the previous Romana, didn't want to do Doctor Who anymore.
Yeah, Mary Town was like, "This is great," and I've loved
Which
it.
is a shame because she was amazing.
She's brilliant. But she was like, as she said in the interview, we watched the interviews on one of the DVDs from that box set. She said, "It's great, I love it, but I could see myself growing tired of it really quickly. So I'm going to leave now while I've had a really good time."
Yeah. Kind of makes sense.
Completely fair enough, I think. And she nails it, and she's great. And we have a Time Lord companion, someone who's the Doctor's equal or superior in many ways.
Yeah.
And she doesn't mind taking a big old dump on him and being like, "You suck, I know better, and I'm classy, and I'm sassy, and I'm wearing all the wardrobe."
Yeah.
But she's still here, albeit this time played by Lila Ward, who was Princess Astra from the Armageddon Factor.
Yeah, which was really weird. That was really weird.
For how long was it weird?
Like the whole first episode. It's like
For the whole of Destiny episode 1. Because wasn't this the one where it was episode for every episode, and then from City of Death it was like, and back to part 1, part 2. This makes more sense.
I don't know. Maybe the first 2 episodes, I should say. Because it was like, he knows her, but he doesn't, and she looks like somebody in the last story, but why?
And the Doctor has an issue with it as well. I mean, let's just get started. May as well. We're already into it. Destiny of the Daleks, first story of the show, of the season, first Dalek story in about 4 years, 5 years.
Thank God.
5 years actually. Yeah. Yeah. What was Tom's first series? 74. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Jesus. Yeah. 5 years.
Wow.
Wowzers. You were not looking forward to this, per se, because you had, for those who've not been watching the early videos, grown bored of the Dalek episodes because they were all kind of the same.
Yeah.
Yet there were always moments and bits that really entertained you.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh, come on. Dalek Invasion of Earth?
Yeah, okay, fine.
The Chase?
The chase.
The Chase with bloody, Empire State Building with the haunted fun house and the mechanoids.
Yeah.
They're all hugging arms. You loved The Chase.
Yeah,
London, 1985. London, 1965.
Wow, you really fucked
If they'd arrived in 1985, that would have been a completely different conclusion.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
They'd have
my
had a
God.
bit of a culture shock.
It would have been a bit Friday, wouldn't it?
I don't know why that's tickled me. I had a coffee this morning, so...
Yeah.
I'm a bit...
It's right now it is 10 to 10 at night, and you had that coffee at about 10 o'clock
I
this
did add it
morning.
about. Oh yeah, no, I did.
12 hours later and you're still on a buzz, you weirdo.
No, I've got.
Well, since you got all that energy, what's the plot of Destiny of the Daleks?
Oh, I don't bloody know. Luna, can you stop, please? Thank you.
Romana changes her face. The doctor's like, you can't wear the face of someone who already met. And she's like, I bloody well will do.
She changes into different characters.
She tries on different bodies.
And I think that's really funny. But
and they all have the voice of Lala Ward.
It's very strange. Yeah.
And not Mary Tam.
It's very strange. They'll have their own voice. Why don't they just use their own voice?
Don't know. Well, a couple of them don't speak on camera, do they? They don't say anything.
But, I mean, why? Can't get me words.
At this point in the series, we know that Time Lords can change their appearance. When they're about to die, they can change their appearance and become a new person. It's as like a life preserver.
Yeah.
We know that. We know that the Masters run out of lives. We know that Gallifreyans can do it 12 times, so technically can live in 13 bodies. That's what has been now established in the show.
Yeah.
By this point. And we know that Romana is a time lady, and she's in her first incarnation, and she's like fresh out of the academy.
Yeah.
She just decides that she wants to try on a different body.
That is just mind-boggling to me.
Now,
well, why?
Do you know why it's mind-boggling? Because it's the only time we see it done this casually.
It's so weird.
That's why it's mind-boggling. If we'd seen it done at any other point in the show's history before this, or even after this, I think we'd just go, all right, sure. Because this is the way the Second Doctor's ending was sort of told to us. Yeah. It was, we're going to send you to Earth, we're going to change your face.
And you can pick it.
And then he's like picky about it, and they're like, oh, screw you, and they send him. They're making me giddy. But later on, you kind of realise, oh, they basically executed him. Like, as a punishment, they took away the remainder of what could have been that life. And went, here's your next incarnation.
Too soon.
So, well, season 6B, but we'll get into that. So, there is all that gubbins, right?
Yeah.
Romana is just casually changing regenerations like she's changing a coat.
It's
I
so
think, I might be wrong, but I think that was Douglas Adams playing with the fun of the idea of changing your appearance, not really taking it too seriously. And you again, like, we talked about this in the last video, season 16 video, like, you love Douglas Adams.
Yeah.
You didn't really care for his script last year. You didn't care for the Pirate Planet too much.
No.
This series, he's the script editor full on, and this script is an interesting one because this is the last script Terry Nation, co-creator of the Daleks, wrote for the show.
Yeah.
The last time he wrote for the show was Genesis of the Daleks, and it was arguably the best script he'd written for the show, with some really good performances.
Yeah. The
terrifying Michael Wisher as Davros.
It's a good story.
It's
actually a really good story. That's probably my favourite Dalek story.
It was number one till like 2007 in every yearly poll for Doctor Who magazine. That would always end up being the number one story.
I'm not surprised. I mean, like we've just said, I'm not a massive fan of the Daleks. I'm sorry. I know.
Not even a little paracetamol boy over it.
Yeah,
well, we'll get into that.
Obviously, they've got their charm and they are scary. They must have been so scary when you're a kid watching it.
Like some of the way that they've been shot.
I know that my dad said that he used to hide behind the sofa.
Well, of course he said that. Everyone has been conditioned to say that in relation to Doctor Who.
Really? Sofas are up against the wall usually, don't they?
In more modern aesthetics, but I guess in older layouts maybe not. But like, I mean, in the modern series, the way they've been directed sometimes has been frightening to look at. They've been used in a way that's like, oh god, that's kind of scary.
But they really wanted to recreate that first. Oh my god, it's the Daleks
With Genesis.
And
when we first see it, it's just got the gun arm and it's just silent, and Sarah Jane witnesses the weapons test, and it's like, oh, that's creepy.
That's really unnerving.
And then they barely talk because they barely appear in Genesis. It's about the threat of this thing being made, these tanks being made from mutated citizens. And then at the end, what do?
They want to kill him.
They kill Davros.
Sorry.
But wait!
It's hit me now.
They don't! Because in this script written by... Oh no, of course, go ahead.
I was just saying that... my train of thought was...
Davros, Daleks, making them scary.
Daleks, I think they really wanted to hone in on that. Oh, Daleks, very scary, and just kept using them over and over again.
It was also popular. The Dalek Mania of the 60s.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Basically Beatlemania for young kids.
I don't really understand why that hasn't affected many other people. Like, because the Dalek stories, they had a tendency of being the same.
Especially the ones written by Terry.
Exactly.
Daleks, a rival faction of some kind, and usually some tribes people.
Tribe people.
And there's a radioactive jungle.
White men.
In most of them, there's a radioactive jungle,
yeah.
And that's kind of it's that's so recurring. The Genesis was different because he couldn't use any of those tools,
and it was morbid because I mean, you saw the trenches of the fight between
the corpses lined up just to make it look like the trenches are populated.
That was so grim, but
and it's a great script.
Interesting because it's a war and they're trying to create a weapon to win this war, and that obviously.
And then we find out Davros is also using that as an excuse to mutate his people and stuff them into tanks. Exactly. He's like, this is what we're going to end up as, so may as well cut out the middleman.
Scary. It's like, oh my god, could that happen in the future? That's really scary.
And that's why this one's so kind of... because Terry Nation is the credited writer, but there are two accounts as to what really went on with Destiny of the Daleks. One is that Terry Nation wrote it, and Douglas Adams, a script editor, rewrote and added so many little bits that Terry walked away and went, right, you've paid me, you do with it what you want. And then he walked away and that ended his relationship with them. The other story is that Terry handed in basically a bare bones draft at the last possible minute. Yeah. And Douglas Adams and it was the producers, Graham Williams, had to write it from the ground up using Terry's notes. So you either have one story where Terry couldn't be arsed and they had to salvage it as best they could, or he wrote it and they got really annoyed that Douglas Adams kept trying to change it. I'll say this, the only bits in this story that I kind of enjoy, that you're meant to enjoy, are the bits that are very Douglas Adams in tone.
Yeah.
Like the Doctor trying to show the Movellans how logic and reasoning of their robotic species works by doing rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah,
that's a very Douglas Adams kind of thing. And then the fact that they're like, right, well, we're going to do the research on that. You're going to stay there and keep going. And they're like, wait, no, that wasn't the point of this demonstration.
Watching robots do rock, paper, scissors, just what a weird image. It's bizarre.
But the biggest fault of this story for me, the biggest bloody flaw, and this is about this story, not about going on. So, Doctor Who fans who know the show, I'm talking about watching this story at this time in the marathon, is the drastic retconning of the death of Davros. Mm-hmm. Because that left a lasting impression at the end of the first their first story, Genesis of the Daleks, their first chronological story.
It showed how much of a monster the Daleks are, that they
and how perfect his creation was.
Yeah.
They were like, you're impure, you're useless to us now.
We don't need you now, yeah.
You're dead, boom.
See you, bye.
In this, turns out Davros was in a state of suspended animation.
A lot of rubbish.
And not only does he look slightly odd for it, but he also acts slightly odd for it, because Michael Wisher does not return. Instead, we get David Goodison. Now, if you collect the Doctor Who character options toys, or you collected the character options toys over the years, you might be looking right now at what we've got on display here and going, oh, that's interesting. Like, you've got a Destiny of the Daleks Dalek from one of the Fourth Doctor sets. I think there was 2 versions of this available, but this one came in a Destiny of the Daleks box set with a version of Davros from the story. You might be thinking, where's Davros? Sold him. Because David Goodison, bless him, but everything is against him.
Yeah.
The voice modulation is so subtle that he doesn't sound like Davros. He sounds like someone pretending to be Davros as a cosplay and just talking in character, or him on the floor before post-production.
It's almost as if, the way I kind of thought about it in my head is that it's kind of like Davros is his own species, and this is another Davros. It was that different. I
see what you mean, yeah.
It was that different.
And again, just self-contained for this story, because going forward, I'm glad Davros is around, because amazing things happen with him later.
Oh yeah, he gets so much better.
And Terry Malloy, his mask is a very different design, but that isn't the issue. The issue here is, it's Michael Wisher's mask. They've just dug it out, dusted it off. It's rotting, but they've gone with it, probably for cost reasons.
Yeah.
So it doesn't quite fit Goodison properly. But worst of all, he's a hair too tall for the costume. What the hell do I mean by that? I mean, you can see him moving his legs around to get from place to place.
You know when you're
and
a
it's
kid,
tough for him.
when you were a kid and you were on like a little tricycle,
Or you sit on your first ever office chair. You sit in an office chair for the first time.
Or in one of them, you know, those red little car things.
Yes, with the yellow roof and the pedals. Yeah. But you don't bother about the pedals.
You don't bother about the pedals. It's like he's doing that.
He's Flintstoning.
And he's moving side to side, and it just looks ridiculous.
Every Davros actor, Flintstones, every single one of them moves their legs around to move around. Julian Bleach is aided by the fact that costume is bulky. Terry Malloy is aided by the fact that he only really gets to do that a couple of times, but they're very selective in how they shoot him. Michael Wisher obviously was, small boy. We stand a short king. He managed to fit inside that thing and glide. Internet managed to glide around quite easily. Yeah. David Goodison looks
like kind of built for him.
Looks like a guy hobbling around. All they needed to do. Because with continuity, it's 5 years later. Already you're hoping people don't notice the voice is different and that the mask looks a bit odd. It would have been easy for them to just whack an extra 2 inches worth of material to the bottom of it, give it an extra bumper.
Like the Daleks have that black bit around it.
Because he's got it, but it's smaller.
Yeah.
So you could have just bulked it up and given him a bit more leg room, just a little bit more, but probably budgetary. We learn that the Daleks, in their history, are at war with the Movellans, who are a race of silver mop-tipped, wigged.
They look fabulous.
They look good,
right?
They
were really good. Their costume is maybe one of my favourites.
By today's standard, odd, but Star Trek era, Blake 7, Babylon 5, Battlestar Galactica, all that sort of 70s, 80s, 90s pseudo Star Wars influenced designs. It fits right in.
Yeah.
And it's about the way the actors carry it. The lead Movellan, he's great.
Yeah.
He absolutely carries it, and all of them are actually. His general, she's brilliant, she's proper cold, and you're like, all right, so the Movellans are at war with the Daleks. The Doctor and Romana and a canine with laryngitis who stays behind in the TARDIS. We'll get to him.
Claudio.
They arrive on Skaro. Like, what the hell are we doing here? Why are the Daleks back here? They're apparently a dog bothering a cat. They're apparently after Davros. They want to bring him back. And the Doctor's like, why would they want to find their, suspended creator? Dead creator. And the Movellans, why are they here? Well, it turns out the Dalek Movellan War...
Minnie!
Oh, for Pete's sake. Minnie! We're making a podcast, you freak. The Daleks and the Movellans have been at war for a while, and the conflict is at a standstill, an impasse, and has been for about 5 years. The reason for it is because their battle computers can't outthink one another. They don't know how to work around the strategy of the other one because their battle computers are a dog that doesn't understand that we need to film with relative quiet. So, yeah. So,
sorry
about that. So our cats are in because Clap for Carers has been going on, and some idiots have taken it as an excuse to have a load of fireworks
in the street.
So the cats are in, and the dog is so happy to see them.
It's just being a little butthole.
Yeah.
So we do apologise.
Oh God. Anyway, so the battle computers.
Quality content.
The battle computers are at a standstill, an impasse.
Yeah.
Because they're both based in logic. That's what they use. The Movellans are robots. They have a battle computer. The Daleks keep getting referred to as robots in this, and it's so weird. But they have a battle computer for their strategy, and it's stumped. So the Daleks have decided we're going to find Davros. He'll know what to do. He created us. He can help develop us so that we can win.
That's just crazy.
And the Movellans are like, we're waiting for them to make a move, and then we can make our move. And the Doctor and Romana have to point out, nope, because your battle computer is at the exact same logical impasse as theirs is. And he displays it by doing rock, paper, scissors with them and shows that him and Romana can win sporadically and make different choices.
Did he mention how long they've been
always
there?
make the calculated choice.
At a standstill?
I think it's 5 years, something like that.
Oh,
Might be wrong. Let me know in the comments if I got it wrong. But, yeah, that's a great idea. There are great ideas in this.
Yeah.
And kamikaze Daleks strapped with explosives. Because, of course, Davros wouldn't give a crap. if they blew up. Because at this point, he's like, right, I'm back, and they're going to make me their leader, and they're going to be glorious, and I'm going to be in charge of them. This is amazing. Check me out.
Yeah.
A relationship which, of course, becomes turbulent as the stories go on. But there's some great ideas here. It's just not very fun.
No.
Like, it's only fun the right way a few times. The rest of the time, we were just laughing at it.
I enjoyed the bits where they were with the Malvellans. Like, I don't know, I just found their characters to be really more interesting than the Daleks.
Yeah. And I like the mines. I like the idea the Daleks have got slaves from off-world, like, digging for the stuff they need, and they just basically worked until they die.
But that's just so typical of Daleks. I
True,
guess,
but it's that whole thing of, like, their strategies are so different. Mm. And in this case, like, the Daleks just, like, take lesser species and make them dig for us. You're like, you could probably create something that could do this for you. Oh, no, you literally have reached what you believe to be your perfect form, and you're buggered, and that's why you need Davros. There's some good ideas. Tom definitely plays it like this is the same character.
Yeah.
Like, he's playing it like he's like, oh, bloody hell, it's you! Hello!
I like that, though.
And he doesn't underestimate him at all now because he knows how power-mad and ravenous Davros can be. So he's a lot more... He's playing the fool with Davros a lot more, which is partially, I think, to Douglas Adams' edits. But he's playing the fool with Davros more because he knows it'll get on his tits.
Oh, you mean him Davros, not Romana?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, him and Romana have a more fun relationship, but that develops later. Destiny of the Daleks is, even out of all the ones we've watched where we're like, bloody hell, here we go again. This is, I think, still my least favourite Dalek story.
It's not a great season starter.
It's not. But then again, these programmes, at this point in time, it wasn't like the season premiere and the grand finale. Like, it was just, Doctor Who's back. Here's the first story. Do you know what I mean?
Bizarre.
Well, that's just how it was. Like, we've watched like classic classic Star Trek and 60s Batman and stuff, and none of them have that mentality. It's just not how TV was back then.
Was it like was there one series a year still, or?
The series crossed over. Like, this one started on the 1st of September and it ends, or should have ended, in February of the following year. So each year you have some of it at the start of the year and some of it toward the end of the year.
Right.
It's nowhere near the constant production machine it was in like Hartnell's day and Fountain's day, but it's still on a lot. Could you hold the dog while I switch these around? I still don't care very much for Destiny of the Daleks. And I don't think this rewatch has changed my mind on it.
No.
What this rewatch hasn't changed my mind on as well, rather just reaffirmed my position, is on City of Death. A Douglas Adams script, a Douglas Adams story, the BBC showing that the licence fee payers' money that is covering their trip to and filming commitments in Paris is being well spent because it just shows off a shed load of Paris like it was some kind of tourism video. City of Death is my favourite story from the original run of Doctor Who. My absolute favourite. So when this was coming up, I could not wait for you to see it.
I don't.
And I couldn't wait to hear what your response was going to be. And I wasn't disappointed, really. Would you like to let everyone know what is the plot of City of Death?
There is an alien who was on the planet Earth before everything happened.
Well, we learned that later, but yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, sorry. Well, if you're watching this, I assume they've already seen it or they don't mind spoilers.
And his ship exploded, which sent fragments of him into different time periods, and he needs to get to a point in time where he can build a time machine essentially to go back to that explosion and stop it from happening.
Yeah.
So they are in modern day Paris.
Paris! I think they even call it out, and they're like, yeah, it's 1979.
And there are so many shots of, this is Paris! We spent this much money to go to Paris. Look at all this Paris!
But that's the thing, the wanky TV production part of my brain looks at it and goes, they're just like going, hey, look, we're filling time by showing off this place we're filming in.
This is a gate! It's in Paris!
But at the same time, the way it's directed and the way it's scored And the fact that it's Tom and Lala just bounding around Paris, it feels really pleasant. Because it starts out as...
It feels like a schoolgirl, though.
Okay, the costume for Romana is
odd. It felt a bit wrong.
But it starts out as, like, what are they doing here? They're literally doing sod all. That is their plan.
It's
They're
like
going to
a
do
little
sod all.
holiday. Yeah.
The Doctor likes Paris. He's going to show her Paris. They're going to go to a couple of cafes he likes, take in some art. It's going to be really lovely. Because Romana's not really had a chance to, like, check out Earth, really. She went there... How many times last series was the one on Earth? One, wasn't it? Stones of Blood.
Yeah.
So she was just like, he's like, let me show you Earth. It's great. You'll love it. Oh, it's the bee's tits. You're going to love every minute of it. While they're there, they discover that someone's trying to pinch the Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
And that someone is Julian Glover's fantastic... I want to get his name right because I just want to call him Scareth, Last of the Jaggeroth. The Count. Is it Count Scarlione? Is that the name he goes by?
I'm not sure. I am poo with names.
Me too. Cause I was just it's Count Scarlione. It's Count Scarlione is a rich count dude, and he's got his countess wife accomplice, and he's got the scientist called Biddly. Kerensky, played by David Graham, who's really bloody good in it. And Min, stop faffing around. I'm trying to remember what his manservant's called. Oh, we'll get to it.
His butler.
Herman, Kevin Flood. He's great. So the Doctor and Romana are like, so this guy's trying to nick the Mona Lisa. Why? And they meet Private Detective Duggan, who's onto it all as well.
Mm-hmm.
Who is like,
who thinks that the Doctor has got something to do with it?
It's like somebody went, do you know who was great? Harry Sullivan, but we didn't quite nail him. Let's just put a Harry Sullivan character in one story,
God.
But instead of being a military doctor, he's a PI and he's very punch happy.
If he would have been a companion, oh my god, I bet that would have been hilarious.
But that's why he stands out so well.
Yeah.
Because it's such a fun dynamic, because you've now got the Doctor and Romana who are both Gallifreyans, although a couple times in this series Lala says Gallifrey, so it's like, we're starting to soften on the pronunciation, are we?
It's happening.
But they're both smart, they know what they're talking about. The majority of the science in this is no longer explained by people going, what do you mean?
Yeah.
It's by them going, oh, you mean blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Yes, but what if we did it like this? But what if we did it like that? Fantastic. And it's fun to watch.
It's funny because Romana says something and the Doctor's like, no. How about we do it this way? And it's exactly what Romana said.
Whereas Duggan gives us an excuse to have someone who's an audience POV character from the point of view of the science, who could be like, right, come again. What the hell were you talking about?
What the hell is going on?
They get rumbled snooping on Scarlione's scam. They find a room full of Mona Lisas.
Yeah.
All of them genuine. The Doctor can tell from the brushstrokes. So whilst Romana and Duggan remain present day trying to figure out Rumble the heist and what's going on, because they figured out that to fund whatever he's doing, Scarlione is going to sell all of the Mona Lisas to various collectors, letting them all believe they've got the real one. Because when technically they do.
Yeah.
But they've got 6 that have been stored separately for years, whereas
in a room that was bricked up.
Yeah, hundreds of years ago. Because, like you said, he's scattered through time in this explosion, and fragments of him live throughout Earth's history. And the reason why all this is happening now is because human society is technologically at the point where his machine can be built to send him back in time. And to make it happen, he has been setting up through his semi-interconnected personalities, scams so that he can afford the money to be a count to and one version of him's back in bloody Italy, and it's sort of in the days like the Inquisition, and there's all this stuff going on. It's nuts how many of them there are throughout history, and they're all kind of sadistic and charming, and he's a great villain. Julian Glover is bloody great in this. They never get around to explaining how they all look the way they do or how they keep looking how they do, considering he has a tendency to tear off his face mask and reveal his actual face as Scareth, Last of the Jaggeroth. It's the Doctor goes back to Leonardo da Vinci's house. And he's hey Leonardo, I've got some questions. Did you pay more than one Mona Lisa? Do you remember that terrible woman who kept frowning and she was rubbish? And all this stuff. And he finds out that, Leonardo da Vinci's been commissioned at basically sword point. Yep, you've got to make a load of them. That's how we're doing it. And I'm going to take them all, and then I'm going to brick them up in Paris and leave them for hundreds of years. So there's all that going on. So the Doctor writes, this is a fake in felt tip pen on all the canvases that he's going to work on later.
Hilarious.
Which is great, because when I got this set, it was that Doctor, that figure of the Jaggeroth, and this Mona Lisa. Now that is a really cool little just toy prop to have. It's a Mona Lisa. If you crack that open, don't do it now, but if you crack it open, you can get to the back of the print. Exactly, don't because it's fiddly as buggery, but you can crack it open at the back and you can get to the back of the like papery print, because it is literally paper. If you shine a ghost light or a UV light on it, it says this is a fake.
That's amazing.
But the old Ninth Doctor Sonic screwdriver I had, the first one, that was a UV light, because I used to be able to write stuff with the pen end and shine it. And I used to, I did it like a couple of times a day. So you can see this is a fake written on the back of it.
I'm sure you showed me that when you got it, and I was like, cool.
I don't get what you're trying to tell me.
Why is it fake? But yes.
Yeah, so...
Of course it's fake, it's tiny. Imagine if it were that small. Wow.
It'd make a lot more money shipping it and touring it around, wouldn't
It'd be really difficult to see it at the Louvre.
That's very true. I love City of Death.
Mm-hmm.
I love the extra reveal that the Doctor realises, okay, this could tamper with all of human history. But not only that, literally tamper with it, because it turns out the Jaggeroth, the ship explosion, millions of years ago, was the fuse that lit the fire of the primordial soup of Earth beginning to change and form into life.
Soup.
So basically, if his ship, he has to die. He has to die in the past and be splintered throughout time for humanity to even exist.
That's crazy.
It has to happen, and the only way they stop him, because he manages to get just enough power to be able to go back using Romana's help to advance the machinery, so he doesn't have to sell the Mona Lisas. He goes back, and he what do you call it? He's about to forewarn his previous self and Duggan, who the Doctor's been scolding for being fisticuffs and punchy throughout the whole story, knocks him out. And that saves the day, which is great.
He goes in fists blazing.
Yeah, Duggan is such a great character, played by Tom Chadbourne.
There's an amazing moment where they're watching the Professor do something on this machine, and Duggan goes in to punch him, and the Doctor's like, no. And pulls him back. It's
don't do that, mate.
Stop punching things. If you swear to God, if you bark at the cat, I'm gonna flip my little lid, dog. I'm holding her by her pelvis. Come here.
Moments why I love this story. Romana and Duggan arriving back at the cafe before dawn to meet the Doctor at the start of the day. So they just break in, crack open some wine, and have some wine.
Well, they're still there.
They're still there, and the owner obviously doesn't question it. He's like, sure.
Because there's other people.
Kerensky being force-aged by the machine, because the scientist is helping the Count, because he
doesn't
believes
really know what.
It's about accelerating
age,
and the reason it's going to be used is for farm stock and livestock. So for plant and animal life, for farming reasons, it's going to be you get a chicken. That chicken lays 5 eggs. You take 3 of those eggs and you rapidly age them, and then you can have chickens making more eggs. Or you rapidly age them and you sell the chickens off to be sold and eaten and everything. And it's he's going to solve world hunger. And it's what a great idea. And it's no, they're about figuring out it. Basically, the bit in Avengers Endgame where they haven't figured out time travel yet, so Scott Lang keeps travelling in his own time stream between ages. That's what's happening. And then the Tony Stark of it all, in this case Romana, comes along, fixes it, so it's about going backwards and forwards in actual time. But it means that Kerensky, when Scarleone's well, I've got no need for you now, he just rapidly ages him. And the effect is a bit laughable once it does the skeleton transition, but the idea of it is terrifying. I absolutely love pretty much every exchange between the Count and the Countess and the Doctor.
Yeah.
Romana's smug, but not greasy or pompous.
Yeah.
Just that kind of smug face when she opens the Chinese puzzle box to reveal the bracelet. The thing that gets the Doctor and Romana involved in the first place. Because they're that's alien technology. I want to nick it. What's going on?
He did steal, to be fair.
He steals it. He does steal it. The Countess confronted Scarleone eventually, being right, I've found evidence that suggests that what they said to me was true. Who the hell are you?
Yeah, it's funny because she shows the Doctor. Is it the Doctor or Romana? I'm sure it's the Doctor. The secret cupboard full of things.
All these untouched artifacts, which she believes the Count has stolen or bartered for over the years. In reality, it's just stuff that he's put in places and his next body is found. And
it's
it's like an Egyptian thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it was like a blueprints for a pyramid or something. It was quite funny. But I love that the Doctor was like, have you never wondered how he's got all this? She's like, well, yeah.
He's a brilliant man. He's like, yeah, all right, but the fact you're turning a blind eye says more about you than it does about him.
He's an alien, love.
Yeah, and
She's like, oh. You're
all
right.
their stuff earlier on. Oh, what a wonderful butler. He's so violent. Hello. Like, these are quotes I've always said are my favourite quotes of the show, and now you've seen them.
I've seen it, yeah, and I get it.
I don't think he's as stupid as he looks, darling. No one could be as stupid as he looks. Oh my god. Okay, what are you doing? I guess I put the chair down because of like the vintage of it. Oh my god, it's wonderful. I love City of Death, and it's so Douglas Adams. It's so Douglas Adams in like a hitchhiker's kind of, like what makes him work as a writer and stand out? Here it is in a Doctor Who story. I love City of Death. What did you think of City of Death?
I thought it was really good. Really, really good. I wasn't expecting anything that happened to happen. I had no idea what was going on. I saw the Mona Lisas and I was like, what?
That wasn't the most what moment you had, though.
What was the...
It was when they went back to the gallery to get the TARDIS just before the finale. And there were two people studying the TARDIS like it was an art piece, one of which, of course, you immediately recognised as Mr. John Cleese. They're both in... I'm trying to remember the actresses now, but they were filming something down the corridor and they were like, look, Douglas Adams knew him. He was like, do you want to just... Eleanor Bron.
She's the head teacher, the head mistress in Little Princess.
Oh, yeah,
Phil, if you were ever curious.
I think of her from Help, the Beatles film. But,
hello. Why is everybody so active this evening? You've had your tea, go to sleep.
But I was... Like, when I first saw it, I was like, that's great. I love the fact they're in an uncredited cameo.
Yeah.
And it's just this weird little skit where they watch the TARDIS. They're just staring at the TARDIS, judging it in the gallery. Doug and the Dr. Romana get in. It dematerialises. And they barely flinch. And they're just like, exquisite. And you're like, oh my god, that is such a great joke. Because we very rarely see characters react to it. Like, one of the few characters I can think of is the guy Peter Purves played on the top of the Empire State Building in The Chase.
Yeah.
Like, there's very rarely do characters get to give full-on reaction shots to it in the show so far. They're here and there, but most of the characters sort of go like, oh, well, wow. Okay, and just move on. Whereas in this case, they're just like, yep, this is the bee's tits. As is City of Death.
Why do you keep talking about the bee's tits?
Bees tits don't exist. This is my favourite classic story still. This marathon might change that as we move on, but I was so happy to get to this. One that I was happy to get to for all the wrong reasons was Creature from the Pit. Creature from the Pit is not bad.
But it is also...
got giant green bollocks and a penis in it.
Not good.
Yeah, so Creature from the Pit, Lady Adrasta. I want to get that pronunciation right, because otherwise I'll just be saying Princess Astra. On the planet Chloris, which is all chlorophyll, very plant-based kind of thing. They've got these creatures called the wolf weeds and stuff like that. She imprisons the Tithonian ambassador Erato. I'm looking at the summary because I need to get these names right. In a pit for 15 years in order to maintain her control over the planet's limited metal supply. Because metal's precious. You got a tribe who covet metal and bloody love it. Mm-hmm. This was the first story shot for this series, which is why Lala Ward is basically playing Romana exactly the same as Mary Tam in this one. But metal is a precious thing, people want it, and anyone who defies it gets thrown into a pit, including, at some point, an ambassador, Erato. But little do we know, the ambassador Erato is the creature in the pit. This is kind of fun. Basically, they show up, evil witchy lady's the queen, the head of the guard with her is like, well, we've got to listen to her, she's the queen. But you can tell that they're all a little bit reluctant to be under this woman. She's a bit tyrannical. She's only been in power for a few years. Her right hand woman, she's a bit of an old school psycho, and sort of keeping on top of everything. Myra Francis hams it like crazy as Lady Adrasta. She's hamming it the heck up.
She's having ham fatigue.
She does not win the hammiest villain of this series award though. We'll get there.
We will.
I'm on be praised, but Yeah, she's having a whale of a time playing a baddie. Everyone's being thrown down this bloody pit to be killed by this creature, eaten by this creature, and we learn that no one's actually eating. This creature's not eating anyone. People are dying because it's crushing them, but that's because it's so bloody big that it doesn't necessarily see everything there. There's a prophet down there called Organon.
Who's fabulous.
Played by Catweasel's very own Jeffrey Bailden.
If you don't know what Catweasel is, like I didn't, look it up.
And scare yourself.
It's horrifying.
And he and the Doctor team up and realise that no, this creature isn't actually malicious at all. By the way, she threw me down here because I was speaking the truth, because I believe that Adrasta is trying to maintain rule over this planet and covet the metal supply as much as she can for her own selfish reason, not because she wants to have the power to take care of her people. Then we learn that the giant creature is the ambassador, Erato, from the planet Tythonian. He's a Tythonian. And
a lot of tongue twisters.
They find a communication device that uses like telepathy and stuff, so some of the tribes folk bring it in.
Yeah, they kind of get hypnotised, don't they?
And they just sort of like sleepwalk there, and they wake up and go, "Oh, bloody hell!" and then leg it, and then we don't really see them again apart from very briefly.
Because they're going to go and steal it, and then they both hold it, and they're like,
zoon. And we realise that the way the creature talks, the Tythonian talks, is it borrows another creature's vocal cords to speak. Mm-hmm. So you hold like your hand on this plate that's attached to it, and it talks through you. The actor doesn't speak, but you hear it talking. It uses your larynx.
Yes.
So we get to hear it talk in a series of voices, and it reveals that it'd been forced down there because what they need is like the greenery of the planet that'll help them survive, and they have metal reserves that they can give to the planet.
So they literally just swap materials.
Yeah, and she's gone, "No, I'm in power, screw you!" and has thrown it into this pit and made it into this
Which makes no
thing.
sense.
Well, it's because she doesn't want the planet to thrive. She just wants to be empowered. If the planet starts to thrive, they might get ideas about new leadership.
Yeah,
and I do like episode 4. The majority of episode 4 is the various guard and people who work for her going, "No, I want to hear the monster out. What's going on?"
Yeah, the guy
with the wolf weeds. All that stuff is excellent. And I like the fact that the last episode takes its time in a way where you're like, oh, well, we've got 20 minutes left and the story is resolved. What's going on? So you realise, oh, yeah, it turns out when this thing leaves the planet, everything's going to blow up. So we kind of need to avert that, like, now.
It kind of feels like they got to the end of the episode, they filmed it, and they were like, oh no, we've not filled the time quota. It's going to explode.
Now, things that work. Myra Francis' Adrasta is ham, and it's delicious ham.
She is ham.
Jeffrey Bailden as Organon wins. He's the MVP of the story.
He's very funny. He's very
wonderful. He's one of those ones where it's like, right, this character actor is going to get in here and make the damn most out of a part that could be ultimately forgettable.
Absolutely.
Him and Tom work wonders off each other. They bounce off each other so much, and it's a delight to see. The reason this story goes down in infamy is because the creature itself is a giant green sort of freakish blob.
Yeah.
There are some effects that are just through restrictions of the format and the budget and the studio time, etc. Like when it smothers people, it smothers the Doctor, it sort of doesn't look quite right. As demonstrated by the power of editing.
No, please.
We recently watched one of the, I think it was the last one we watched actually, we watched the coming, as a tradition we always watch the Coming Soon trailer and the DVD extras.
Yeah.
Just to see what it is. And the last one we watched was a Coming Soon trailer for Creature from the Pit. And it edits like the bit where the Doctor's getting seemingly crushed by the creature, and it's like, oh god, that looks scary. In the episode, it just sort of looks hilarious. But that's not the worst. The first time we see it, we mostly see it as a tendril, a mass, a green gelatinous mass, and a tendril coming out of the mass. The first time we see it, the tendril and the mass around it are shaped in such a specific way that it's, I'm not even going to beat around the bush, it's a cock and balls.
It's
like
a
cock and balls.
It does.
It's a cock and balls. The second time we see it, I think of it, is when the Doctor realises the creature isn't malicious and he's trying to communicate with it. And it's Tom working with the puppeteered prop as best he can. And just going for it. You know that the moment they went cut, he was pissing himself and walking off set. Because he just basically grabs the smaller penis, the smaller than the one we saw before,
out of the bigger penis,
and has a little sort of a little fold, a little opening at the top, at the tip of it. And he talks into it like a phone, and then at one point he blows down it. Hands gently cupping this phallic tendril, and you're just like, Tom, you know exactly what you're doing. because he's obviously going, can you imagine if we got away with this in a kids' program? Oh, Sonic, I'm going to do it. I don't care.
Good grief.
And then next season he really doesn't care. I don't hate Creature from the Pit. I have a lot of fun with Creature from the Pit, and I think it's mostly down to Organon and Adrasta. Like, they're a lot of fun to watch. The Wolfweeds are a fun little extra. Like, they're basically the hound dogs of the Royal Guard, just these balls of weed that gather around people and either cocoon them in web or just, like, hold them in place until someone comes along.
K9.
And the guy controls them with a whip. And, of course, K9 returns in this story. He's finally in the story proper. Voiced now by, I want to get the actor's name right, it's David Somerton. David Briley. David Briley, because John Leeson wasn't available, so David Briley becomes the new voice of K9. K9's got some sass now. Like, K9 had sass before, but he was a robot dog that was being sassy through his actions and what he was saying.
Yeah.
Now he sounds like he's sick of the Doctor's shit. It's like, K9, have you got the readouts? Of course, Master. It's like, Jesus, all right, whoa, don't bite my head off, mate.
Take a chill pill, K9.
You love K9.
Love K9.
We had a tradition when we were watching the Third Doctor's era. Every time the Brigadier came on screen, arguably your favourite character for that entire run, we would always just randomly shake hands. When he first appears in a story, it'd be Brigadier. There we go. Every time K9 first comes on screen in this, you just stop what you're doing and start waving at the television, and then you get annoyed if I don't wave as well. You did it a little less this series, and I think that was because of the voice change.
It's not K9.
Sounds odd, doesn't it? I don't think David Briley's doing a bad job.
How could a robot get laryngitis?
Because they had to write a stupid reason as to why he didn't sound like John Leeson anymore. That's why. What did you think of Creature from the Pit? I don't hate it. I think it's a ton of fun. It's not boring. Boring's the worst thing a story could be, and it isn't boring.
Yeah, it's not boring. It's just
enjoyable for reasons they didn't intend.
Yeah, it looked like a big mouldy potato.
Potato peony.
You know when you've had a bag of potatoes, you made some sausage and mash, and you've made a pie, and there's one potato that fell out the bag.
There it is.
At the back of the cupboard. You've left it and you've not noticed until you've done a spring clean of the cupboard, seen it growing in the back. And
then you grab its little peen and you just gently blowing it like a kazoo.
And then you hold it and it starts talking to you. Weird. It happens to everybody.
This is my least favourite story of this series. Nightmare of Eden. Two ships collide. One is a posh freighter taking people on space cruise. The other's a supply ship that's got a deadline. It has to hurry up and get to that deadline. Mm-hmm. The Doctor, Romana and K9 arrive there and go, all right, I guess this is a thing. Well, we're going to help them uncouple these ships. And while they're doing that, the Doctor discovers that one of the crew is doing some drugs. Is it Coaxis? Coaxis?
I don't know, but it's hilarious.
Vraxian. So one of the guys is smuggling Vraxian. He's got a small supply of it. And the Doctor and Romana make it very clear that this is like the worst drug to ever hit this part of the galaxy in history.
Yeah.
Like it has ruined entire societies and planets have fallen. Their entire economy has fallen because of people becoming addicted
what
to
people think weed
Vraxian.
Does. Probably
Yeah, what people think weed does. What people thought weed did. But no, other drugs do it much worse. So they're like, right, we need to find out where this has come from and try and stop it.
Yeah.
Turns out that's a bigger part of the reason this crash has happened than they thought. So we have the Professor.
Yeah.
Professor Trist.
With the tiniest glasses.
Played by Louis Fiander. What did we call him? We said if Rob Brydon and Griff Rhys-Jones had a baby, sent it back in time, and it tried to put on an Austrian accent, kind of, Doctor.
Seriously, look up a picture. You got that nail right on the head.
They're with Della and Dimmond.
What's wrong with me today?
They're with there's Captain Rigg. He's great. Secker Stock. Officers Fisk and Officer Costa. They make for an interesting turn later on when the authorities get involved, and they're very sort of typical kind of 70s comedy police.
When the authorities arrive, good grief! It's like something from a gay porno. Like the fabulous police arrive or something. Is that offensive? I apologise.
I don't know how many gay pornos from 1979 have you
I
watched?
don't know. Hundreds.
4 of them, specifically, parts 1 to 4 of The Nightmare of Eden.
But, like, they're, like, black leather uniform. It's like a police uniform with black leather. And the stripes down it are black glitter. I was like, are you kidding me? They look fabulous and not threatening whatsoever.
Whereas Professor Trist and his team, like, what understated clothes? Like, they're a lab team. It's really understated. White t-shirt, a vest. You're like, okay, it's a uniform for the lab. Fair enough. They went to the planet Eden, and on the planet Eden, they supposedly lost one of their team, who turns out has been lurking inside their device, because Carnival of Monsters style, Professor Trist has got a projector that
Kind of holds
certain areas of planets. The idea being conservation, apparently. What they want to do is they want to conserve these species in these areas. So essentially this is like a Brainiac-style bottled city device that puts them in a projector. And they project it into this screen thing in their lab, and you can walk into it and you're suddenly in that section of environment. And they apparently lost someone in there, but turns out he's there really. The whole time he's been a double agent for the authorities. And he was like, someone was smuggling Viraxian from Eden, and I'm trying to find where it is.
Yeah.
That's why I joined the Professor's team, because I wanted to get to Eden, undercover, find out where it is, and report the source of it and let people know. Problem is, Eden's also let something else out onto the ship. The terrifying Mandrels!
No.
Which look like really cool Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles villains from the cartoon.
Yeah.
But move like people in clunky suits.
Yeah.
Who don't really have a uniformed way of moving, which seems to be a common problem in the 70s Who at the moment.
It's like they got theatre school, like, first years.
And just went, just put these on, be monsters.
Be scary. And action.
The last monster I can think of at the top of my head that had a uniformed way of moving was the Autons. Because the Cybermen don't have a uniform way of moving by this point. They all kind of move the same. They move differently. They just sort of plod along or they walk or, you know.
Oh yeah, they don't stop yet, do they?
No. Like, the only time I can think of them being a bit more uniform was in Tomb, where it's like, and then like putting their hands through the cellophane and splitting it and then walking out.
Such a good story.
The Autons are the only ones I can think of that actually have a solid, this is how these creatures move. The Mandrels, not to be confused with Mandrels, the Mandrels are boring.
They look cool.
They look cool, but they don't feel threatening because they have these big sort of shell-like faces.
Yeah,
And
like clowns.
I think they would feel threatening if we'd seen them kill someone. Like, seen them kill someone. And by kill someone, I don't mean in the way this show is doing it at this point, where they just kind of, like, grab someone. There's a great scene where they burst out of this lift and attack 2 people, including this elderly woman. And it's like, holy crap! Like, they just got outside beating them up, and we see them attacking the passengers.
Yeah.
But because they're just these big stoic shell-like helmets, it just looks like people in clunky costumes. Like, thinking that should be like, it looks like a clam, looks like a shell. We should have seen them at some point open a mouth and like bite someone's arm or something like that. Not bite it off or anything. Like, but you know, just something to make us go, oh my god! Like, Jesus! Instead, they just come across as clunky teddy bear costumes with a shell for a face.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes them suck. What also sucks is the mystery of this story turns out to be really interesting toward the end.
Yeah.
Where you find out that Professor Trist and the ship that they crashed into, steered by Diamond, are actually working together. The crash was done on purpose so that he could get on board and get hold of the Mandrels, because it turns out the Mandrels are the source of Viraxian. When they are killed and powdered, they are basically taken as a drug.
That's horrifying.
And it's scary. It's like, oh my god, that's horrifying. And it makes you feel sorry for them, but because they're just teddy bears that lumber around with shells for heads, we don't feel any sympathy toward them. In the story, they don't play on that moment. They don't have like human eyes or something where you can kind of connect with them and go, oh my god, they're living things.
They react to a dog whistle.
That's kind of cute. I like that, because they are bestial. They're not clever. They're very, very feral. So I kind of like the idea that K9's dog whistle makes them go, all right, what are we doing? Where are we going?
Ooh,
A
nice song.
Oh, latest quarter of the mountain it moved. So by the end, when you realise, oh god, Trist, who seemed like quite a quirky, sort of lovable character, in the same series where we've had the professor in City of Death and stuff, like, oh, we've got these quirky professor characters, for him to turn out to be one of the villains, and he's doing it so he can keep funding his experiments. But then when the Doctor confronts him and Romana confronts him on millions of people could die from addiction to this stuff, and he's like, yes, but it's a small price to pay for science. It's like,
I'm just doing it on the side because I need the money.
Exactly, that almost makes him more detestable. Because it's like, oh, you twat. Do you know what I mean? He's not a villain, but he also is not seeing beyond his own reasons for doing it.
Oh, now we're best mates. Okay.
The dog and the cat's cuddling now. Well, the dog's cuddling the cat, and the cat's looking at the dog like she's a disease.
With disdain.
And so that makes the Doctor's reaction at the end great when he's trying to plead to the Doctor what he thinks is the Doctor's better nature, and be like, you know, it's for science. You understand? The Doctor's just like, get away from me. Get away from me. You're like, oh my god. Tom plays the seriousness of the drug stuff brilliantly in this. And he plays the silliness of it brilliantly. But maybe it was the pacing, maybe it was the writing, maybe it was the Mandrels not being that visually compelling beyond their silhouette.
I think it was the pacing.
I got bored in Ep 2.
Yeah.
And I didn't get interested again until mid-Ep 4.
Yeah.
When it was like, oh, there's the twist.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What a twist.
Not a big fan of Nightmare of Eden. This was the one I'd never seen before with this viewing. And I'm not in a rush to watch it again.
It was a tad boring.
Midpoint. Not bad. We've had much worse stories.
Yeah, definitely not the worst. But
and
not
you
the
know,
best.
maybe if this was my first time watching Destiny of the Daleks, I'd think of them equally, but I enjoy Destiny of the Daleks a little more because of the stuff that I laugh at, whereas this didn't have as much stuff to mock, which picked it up. So, yeah, and also the title, Nightmare of Eden. It feels like someone came up with that title and they were like, oh my god, that's magnificent, what should it be about? They were like, oh no, says Bob Baker, but the planet can be called Eden. You know what I mean? It's like, whatever. Then we come to the Horns of Nimon. This is also kind of dull.
It really is, isn't it?
But it's not how do I put this? Story, dull. As a piece of entertainment, fun. Because of a few specific things. So the Doctor and Romana arrive on essentially a prison ship taking people to the planet Skonos.
Because the Doctor was doing some kind of spring cleaning kind of thing.
That's a great idea. Like he's taking the TARDIS to bits to like check on stuff and this, that and the other. And as a result, they get caught in a situation where they can't materialise away, they can't shunt away, they can't move, so they have to go there. Yeah. Or they're buggered.
Because K9's like, whatever you do, that's done. The TARDIS is moving. And the Doctor's like, no, it's not. Because I've just dismantled it. And he's like, it's moving. And he's like, no. It's, oh my god.
That cat's really comfy.
Sorry. And Romana's like, why is the TARDIS moving so fast? And he's like, it's not moving. Oh, wait, it's moving.
Oh, it is moving. We're not moving it, but it is moving. They get caught up into it. There's a ship full of people who we learn are sacrifices, and the story like flitters back and forth on the idea of like, is it the thing they're carrying, these sort of circular devices, or is it them? And we later learn it's both. They get their life sucked away from them. They're being taken to Skonos and put into the jurisdiction of Sol Deed, played by Graham Crowden, who
also playing extra.
Oh, he ordered the 12-inch sub, hold the bread, triple the ham. Graham Crowden as Sol Deed is wonderful. If you've ever seen Aladdin as a pantomime, basically someone took the life essence of every person who's ever played Abanazar, put it in an Abanazar costume, and then threw him on screen.
As soon as Christopher said it, I was like, oh my god, I can't unsee that now.
Yeah, he's a panto villain, specifically Abanazar.
It really is.
Sol Deed communes specifically with the Neyman, the god who brings Skonos all of its profit. It's this typical thing of like a tribe worship a god to look after them. Crawl! Difference is here, Sol Deed's the only one who communes with Nymon, and Nymon does provide them with what they need. Sol Deed is doing it because he believes he's playing Nymon like a fiddle.
Yeah.
So he's going to be some kind of ruler himself. Although he doesn't have, like, massively grand plans. And when the Doctor says, like, did you know someone's forming a black hole just off of your world? Like, that's why our ships collided. We nearly got sucked into this black hole. Sol Deed, who the Doctor immediately pegs is up to something, is like, what? So it's this idea of, like, I know you're up to something, villain, but also you've got no idea who that is. Then who the hell's doing that? Because later on we discover Nymon, who is this apparently all-powerful being, which has again, like the Mandrels, a great silhouette, and then we keep seeing them move.
Yeah. And
it becomes less impressive the more we see them move. The Nymon is a big Minotaur-esque creature with a stoic, static mask head.
Squished face.
Which, if they made a thing of it being like, oh, it's a mask, it would be less weird. But the fact that they try to make it look naturalistic and then it doesn't have any movement, no blinking, no mouth movement, it's like, right, that's just weird then. The Nymon is a Minotaur-esque creature that lives at the centre of a labyrinthian series of tunnels in its own little world. The leader of the slaves has been sort of not self-appointed, the slave-appointed leader of their group, Seth.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Theseus and the Minotaur? Is that the myth?
Yeah, I think so.
So it's Theseus, first few letters of Theseus, basically they've created Seth from Theseus, I guess. Theseus, Seth has been like, all of his mates are like, you're going to kill the Nymon and save us all. And he's like, oh, I don't want to do that. Romana's like, yeah, I feel you, fam. Could you help me find my sonic screwdriver? I've lost it.
It's quite funny because she didn't lose it, she placed it down. Anyway,
Romana has a sonic screwdriver now.
Very cool.
And the Doctor tries to pinch it because he thinks it's nice that it is. Which is a really nice detail.
But I found it funny that...
it's also the same design the War Doctor's got. It's the same sort of look.
Oh, yeah.
But his is silver with just the red tip.
Yeah.
Whereas hers is like sort of this greeny silver colour.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on. So she's...
maybe she found it and, like, altered it.
I mean, the War Doctor. Like, he got hold of it later.
Sorry, yeah. I'm getting a bit...
I'm confused. I was like, wait, Jodie?
I was getting a bit tired, wibbly-wobbly, mixed up. Anyway, yeah, Seth's like, they think that I'm this great person, but I just happen to be there when all these things happen, and they think it's because of me. Yeah,
which is very Greek myth in a way. Like, there's that kind of thing.
I thought that was quite funny, quite charming.
The hero being held up. He's great because he's a young man, and he is, but he also looks like a young man who's knackered.
He has no idea what he's doing.
Yeah, he does end up being sort of partially responsible for the defeat of the Nymon at the end, so he does save them all, I guess. You have the guy who steers the ship that they're on, who's an absolute bastard. But yeah, it turns out the Nymon is doing what it's doing because eventually it's going to bring over more of its kind. So at this point you're like, right, so Sol Deed is leading it on because he wants to maybe usurp it, but also you forget, what is nice about this is you forget about the black hole detail, and then it reminds you about the black hole later on, when you realise, oh, the Nymon using its computer system, which for 1980 was probably a really advanced computer system and impressive to see in a TV show. Now it's like, that's hilarious. Because it doesn't look like a sci-fi computer.
No.
It just looks like a computer bank from the 80s.
It really does. If you go to the...
Clever Prime. You'll get that later.
Oh, no.
I'll show you those later. I might show you them after this video.
I think that's what really disappointed me. Is that they went to all this trouble to make the the villain look like a Minotaur.
Yeah.
And they did a pretty good, future. It's weird, but it's a good futuristic version of it, alien version of it.
Yeah. Like loincloth aside and everything. It's sort of like, it's
like,
old imagery, but it's new because it's got that electronic voice. And...
Yeah, but the setting was just so disappointing. They could have done so much more. I mean, yeah, it's good that it keeps... Like, walls keep appearing and disappearing, like it's a labyrinth.
Yeah, which is a great reveal, and the Doctor realises it's a specific type of circuit. It's in the shape of a circuit, and one that only works when the circuit keeps moving.
Yeah.
So the walls of the labyrinth moving... Yeah, it's the IKEA upstairs section. The walls of this labyrinth moving are just the circuit doing what it does.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's great! That's really cool! What a great way to do a labyrinth!
But I feel like they took those themes... and did the very, very bare minimum.
Yeah, like
that
it's an
possibly
adaptation
could
of Theseus and the Minotaur. Kind of.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even adapting it, it's just, there's sort of a labyrinth, there's a Minotaur, there's a kid who everyone thinks is going to defeat it. There you go. It's like,
that's it.
Okay.
So
We
I
realised
found that quite distracting and annoying, really.
Well, we realise that the black hole and all that's there because the Nymon is trying to get a ship through containing two more of its kind. And then the best part of it is in episode 4, when Romana ends up going the other way, like, in their ship, and finds the previous world they've screwed over and, like, bled dry, and, like, one surviving citizen there, who's great, and he's in, like,
He's
2
the
scenes.
previous Nabonaza.
Yeah, basically, yeah. He's the sole deed of that world. Somebody who
Yeah, because he's got the same staff.
He's got the same staff, so, like, you basically learn that the Nymon, these godlike beings that we only know they're godlike because they've got supreme intelligence and apparently can bestow wealth upon people, but we don't ever see them do anything particularly godlike beside that. This is where we learn that, nope, they're literally parasites.
Yeah.
They are con men. And they go from world to world doing the same thing, draining it dry, and then mustering up the power to bugger off to another world and mysteriously appear and all this, that, and the other. Now that's amazing. Do you know what would have made this story like a 5 out of 5? If after they uncover that, they go back, and Romana, like, confronts them on it, and one of them just lifts their head off.
Yeah.
And they look different, and they're like, right, okay, you got us. What of it? We're already here.
What are you going to do about it?
Do you know what I mean? Just like some kind of, oh God, like that would have been more striking to me. And that would explain the stoic look of the actual, what is really a mask, but in the story is its face.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's literally a mask. It's a helmet. But the fact that they get back and the Nymon are still like walking around like this because they all don't know what the hell they're doing.
I've got to say, that's
shooting lasers from their horns.
The strength of those actors is pretty impressive because they were leaning down, like crouching down to, like, fiddle with the computers. Obviously, as you do, weird.
Not Zygon style.
And and they, crouched down and then got straight back up again. It was like, wow, that's quite impressive. You must have very strong legs.
Yeah, well, they're all trim as hell. Like that, they've got like
wedges.
They've got like tiny waists and massive broad shoulders and chests. These guys, like they've picked physically imposing performers to be the Nymon.
So that's it. That's the only impressive thing about it.
Yeah, and it's just the fact that it's a con, but then they're still like, we will do this. It's sort of like, that kind of sucks. Like I want to see the con revealed. I know it might be a bit of a trope, and they did it last season, sort of with the Rebus operation. Who'd talk like this in front of the thing? We're not. Okay, we got them now and all that. Like, fair enough, we've done that. Even Stones of Blood, like, she's all like, she's one role, and then she's like, oh no, I couldn't possibly be the prisoner. I'm just going to watch this trial. This is lovely. Like, you've done it
There's
already.
nothing to do with me.
But if you're going to do the Nymons are a parasite, play into the element. Play into that element more and play them up as like, oh, all right, you got us, you bugger.
Yeah.
But it's too late, we'll kill you before you tell anyone. Do that. And then the Minotaur could be defeated if Seth manages to broadcast that back to Skonos and everyone hears it. Do you know what I mean? He defeats them not because he's physically strong or he gets to the centre of the labyrinth, but because he literally exposes them for the frauds they are. That would be great. Worth it, though, because the real villain, or at least the villain as far as we're concerned, is Soldeed. Because when he knows there's one Nymon, he's started to see multiple ones, so he's starting to realise that maybe he's been played, but he's still delusional enough that he's like, nope, I can make this work, I can do this. And there's this wonderful moment between all of his Nymon be praised, like, postulating. Romana confronts him, she goes, how many Nymon have you seen today? Which is a great line.
And Christopher kept saying it, and I was like, 3? I think there was 3.
Well, I just kept saying it to you for like days in the run up to us watching it, and then when she said it, I went, "Hey!" And you went, "Oh,
I get it."
And he sort of goes like, "You won't stop. The plan will be." And she's like, "How many?" And he hams this up so deliciously. He just confesses he can't lie, and he just goes 3. But instead of just going like 3, like, oh God, you're right.
Panto villain.
3, like gesturing over his beard and his eyes with his fingers, and just like, oh, you are a gift. You are a gift. He stops this from being kind of. Do you know what I mean? every time it does go a bit like, oh, right, oh, okay, Soldeed rocks up and you go, Neyman be praised. Like, he is fabulous. When he dies, it's the campest death.
Oh my
it's
God.
fabulous. So, I don't hate Horns of Nimon, but the problem is, and I appreciate I have a bias here, the problem is my favourite story of this series was 2 stories in. So everything after it felt like I was just kind of hanging around after. Now, this is the first time you've watched this.
Yeah.
This chunk of stories.
Yes.
How did you feel? What did you think was the best? What did you think was the worst?
Oh, I definitely. What was it called? City of Death.
City of Death.
City of Death was definitely the best one.
Yeah.
The rest of them, I don't know. They were just very meh.
Like Destiny of the Daleks has things that are enjoyable about it, but it's not good.
No.
Creature from the Pit is delightful in places. And accidentally hilarious in others. Nightmare of Eden was just kind of there at the end of the day. And same with the Horns of Nimon. I feel like those last 2 would make for really good modern series stories.
Yeah.
But the sensibilities of the time and the restrictions, the multi-camera setup, I don't think those 2 stories live to their potential. I don't know if they both have target novelizations, but if they do, I want to read them because I want to read a book tackling those stories.
Yeah, they're really interesting.
Tell me down below if Nightmare of Eden and the Horns of Nimon have target novels.
They're really interesting, like theories, like ideas, but they were just not.
The Scooby-Doo hijinks of Nightmare of Eden could be more Scooby-Doo hijinkies if they did it differently, but it's just not quite right. And then same with Horns of Nimon. How much better would it have been if they, at the end, like Romana confronts them and one of them just literally takes the helmet off and is like, "Alright, you got us." Yeah. Like, that would have been like, whoa! You know what I mean? Like, what the hell?
I don't know if it would have saved the other episodes. But...
No, but it at least would have given a striking visual for the last episode of like, oh my god! Like, we thought that was the monster. Nope. It's a dude in a mask. More Scooby-Doo hijinks.
Yeah. So, all in all, it was a bit meh. I did like, though, that we didn't have to go, even though there was a new companion, we didn't have to go through all the, oh, this is what she's like with the Doctor, this is what the Doctor thinks of her, oh, she's settling in, oh, TARDIS is bigger on the inside.
We've not really had that much of that over the course of the show so far, because they tend to get companions in the last story of a series, or they inherit them in story 1, and as a result, they kind of just assume that, you guys can imagine that they've talked a bit between stories. Do you know what I mean? Like the way it's gone in the past. There've been minor reintroductions to concepts, like with Joe, the 3 Doctors, like first going into the TARDIS and stuff. You know, stuff has been touched on, but it's not been like drowning in this kind of stuff, has it?
No.
That being said, was that something you were worried about because you were scared that was going to start happening around now?
Yeah.
Like, you know, nearly 20 years into the show.
Oh my God.
Well, no, it's like 16 years into the show. But like, were you worried that that was going to begin?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be interested to see how you feel next series, because I can't quite recall how all the introductions happen. But next series we meet 3 new companions.
Oh my God.
3 in one season.
Wow.
So I'll be interested to see how that plays out for you. Overall, then, I'm guessing this series was yeah, sure, but City of Death, though.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I kind of wish that City of Death had been a bit further down the episode line. Because it was
we could watch them out of order. If you ever wanted to randomly revisit this, just like, I want to watch a season.
Yeah, you could do, yeah.
You could watch them out of order.
I don't know, it was just like, oh, we got a really good one. Oh.
Yeah, the only one you couldn't watch out of order is Destiny, because of K9's laryngitis. But I don't think they even mention him in City of Death. Oh yeah, at one point the Doctor goes in the TARDIS, he goes, "Oh hello, K9," and there you go. Yeah. The most observant of you might be thinking, "Hang on, there's another DVD on that table." There is. The Horns of Nimon is not the last story of Series 17, but it was the last story of Series 17 to be made and broadcast on the BBC. The unfinished serial Shada is also there, known as like the Lost Douglas Adams script, Lost Douglas Adams story. Charter's incomplete. A lot of it was filmed, but not all of it obviously was put together. In the end, it was abandoned, and part of the footage was reused in a story later on. But in the 90s, there was a VHS where Tom Baker gives linking narration. That's the version I was familiar with. But more recently, and I've yet to even open this, BBC got together with the animated team who work on a lot of their recons and made it from scratch with voice cast, including Tom and Lala reprising their roles, and made Sharda into an animated serial. Next time, join us for
the Johnson household.
Join us for another bonus episode where we are going to be watching both the VHS versions and the animated versions of the lost classic, unquote, Sharda, and talk about that. We're going to be watching the same story twice. 2 times in a row, in different formats, with some modern Tom input and some 90s Tom input. I cannot wait for this. This will be a fun, weird little experiment. Join us next time, and then, of course, after that, we'll move on to Tom's final season, season 18.
Weird.
Of Drew!
Oh my goodness.
Doctor Who.
Doctor Who.
No.
Mistress.